Hello, everybody. Remember me? I'm Lauren, the host of Allegedly Bravo, the podcast about celebrity lawsuits. You probably forgot, or you either forgot or you're just finding out about this whole shebang. But just for my wonderful, beautiful, loyal listeners who I'm just like so obsessed with and have done so dirty, I apologize. I have been MIA, missing in action, something that the military might call AWOL. Yeah, I was absent while leave W. I don't know what it means. Fuck it. I don't fucking know what it means. I didn't go to the military on purpose. I'm just not built for it. My bone structure is more for leisure. So, anyway, I'm here now. Just to give you a little bit of an excuse as to why it's been months since you've heard from me. I've just not been in the headspace to speak into a microphone. Something that people don't tell you, or didn't tell me anyway, about practicing law is like, it's first of all, it's so fun. Love it. Second of all, holy fuck, you guys. It's so hard. The next time you guys, I swear, the next time you hire an attorney and you're like, what the fuck? Like, what could possibly justify that hourly rate? Let me tell you. Let me tell you. A lot can justify that rate. And whatever your attorney is charging you, they should charge you more. And you should be willing to pay it because holy fuck, you guys. I'm having so much fun. But it is hard, it's like adjusting to balancing not just my own personal life, but also the lives of all these clients who like I I owe them my all and I'm going to give them my all. But giving everyone 100% of me all the time, I've found has left nothing for anybody else at the end of the day. And I'm sure I'm not like, this is not some unique feeling that I've had only. Everyone who's listening has probably felt like, yeah, I give so much to strangers. And like by the end of the day, you're probably pooped and you still have kids to take care of, or a husband to take care of, or a wife to take care of, or maybe parents or grandparents, or maybe you help the neighbor out. Who knows? I don't know. But all I'm going to say about how hard we all work is, first of all, everybody deserves a raise. They do. If you are listening to this, you need to go to your boss and you say, I need to make more money. I'm worth it. I give you everything and I'm worth it. And I agree. And I'll be in your corner. You want a letter of rec? You let me know. I will send a letter of recommendation in your favor saying, you know what? This person deserves a 4 times raise. Let them say no. That's all I have to say about that. But anyway, my new job is going so well. I'm like so obsessed with it. And while I have not received a ring from George Glass, and at this point I'm like, should I just grow some whiskers and dye an old maid? I'm still holding out hope. But so I don't have a ring from him, but my gorgeous, beautiful, stunning business partner gave me a key to the office and it's a diamond ring. Oh, I mean, dead. It's the only ring I need. I'm happy. I don't know about George Glass. I think he could be happier by proposing, but we're not here to put pressure. We're not here to put pressure. I'm not just a regular girlfriend. I'm a cool girlfriend. So no pressure to propose. But my little sister, who's 8 years younger than me, got engaged. And so I'm just kind of like, what's the deal? What's the deal? Anyway, love the new job, love the new firm, love being my own boss. I almost can't imagine how I lived my life before this, like reporting to a man. according to a man. I'll never do it again. I will never fucking do it again. By the way, everyone, cheers. If you're not driving, grab a cocktail, grab a mocktail, grab a Sleepy Girl mocktail, because we're going to go on a wild ride right here through Lizzo's Anti-Slapp lawsuit. I have my martini. I also have my little shaker next to me because wouldn't you know it, I made too much. Wouldn't you know it? Who would do such a thing? Me. So we'll have some extra and I'm happy to pour you a glass. But settle in, grab your little bevy, whether it be a coffee, a Celsius, a water, a lukewarm water, some hot tea. It doesn't matter, but you need to hydrate. You need to give yourself a little drinky drink and put it in a cute cup. It's just like so much more fun to drink things when it's in a cute cup. So anyway, that's my advice to you. Moving on, Bravo recap. Okay, I know a lot of my listeners aren't Bravo fangirlies and boys, but we have some important news coming out. And that is that Ariana from Vanderpump Rules has asked the court to have her be removed from the lawsuit, the revenge porn lawsuit with Rachel. And Ariana's just like, you know what? I had nothing to do with this. I was an innocent bystander who was sent the revenge porn. And in that case, I would have to say, I agree with her. And you know what? Let judgment be entered accordingly. The gavel has smacked. Okay. The gavel smacks. All right. So everyone just leave Ariana alone. I'm so over the Ariana hate. Like this whole season, everyone's like, oh my God, she needs to calm down. Like she needs to get over it. So what? People break up. Okay. First of all, I challenge you, listener who has uttered those words. If you haven't uttered those words, I give you permission to put forth this challenge to your friends or foes who have uttered those words. Leave Ariana alone. Leave her the fuck alone. If you were stuck in a room with your ex who cheated on you with your friend and you didn't light the room on fire, I would say you deserve a Nobel Peace Prize. The fact that this woman is allowing an entire TV show to carry on with storylines, so she told Sheena, he's not your friend. That's the truth. That's the truth. Tom Sandoval is not Sheena's friend. Period. Dot. End of story. So leave Ariana alone. And for those of you who are not trying to leave Ariana alone, my question to you is, are you trying to get popped or are you trying to get along? All right. So now there's all this breaking news. Speaking of leaving Ariana alone, we can't possibly leave her alone because there's actually some news in the press that the something about her trademark is actually owned by Chef Penny. So anyone who's listening to this who is not a Bravo fan is like, okay, what the fuck, Chef Penny? Something about her? What's going on? It doesn't matter. If you don't know what's going on, it doesn't matter. Just skip forward. I would say skip forward 3 minutes. I will make sure actually right now, I'll set a timer for 3 minutes. And if you skip forward 3 minutes right now, I promise you, I will be starting the episode. Ready, go. Okay. For everyone who's like, okay, Chef Penny actually owns the something about her trademark and it's in Chef Penny's LLC and Ariana and Katie have nothing to do with it. Yada, yada, yada. Here's what. This is either one of two things. This is either the biggest nothing burger that ever existed. And Ariana and Katie know that this is inside of a LLC that has nothing to do with them. Or this is the biggest issue of all time. So if you would have asked me on Monday, hey, Lauren, what do you think about the fact that Penny's LLC owns the something about her trademark? I would be like, Okay, who cares? Like lots of people own trademarks. It's not that uncommon for an LLC to own a trademark. And how do we know? Who are we to say that Ariana and Katie don't own part of the LLC? How do we know? I don't know. And so that's what I would say in regards to that. But then I watched this week's episode and Ariana and Katie were talking to Lisa Vanderpump. Oh my God. If you don't listen to the show, like even just the words Lisa Vanderpump, it sounds fake. But that's a real woman who carries around dogs everywhere, which is only something we can all aspire to do is be rich and carry around dogs everywhere. But regardless, Lisa Vanderpump was talking to the girls and, Ariana and Katie, they told everybody, like, listen, we're like trying to divest from Chef Penny. They are almost like Chef Penny's doing too much. This was a Katie and Ariana thing. And now it's a Katie, Ariana, and Chef Penny thing. And like all we wanted this woman to do was like figure out a pesto smear recipe. And, what are you going to do? Sometimes people get a little caught up and they're like, oh, you want me to help you do a sandwich shop? Well, I'm actually really good at that. And so now all of a sudden I own it. I don't know. Here's what I think. It's one of two ways. Either it's going to go good or it's going to go bad. And so I'm just going to sit back and watch. And from here until we figure it out, I'm neutral. Actually, I'm not neutral. I'm team Ariana and Katie, but like, I don't know if their trademark is being held back. And in regards to the merch, like we don't know how those proceeds are being spent. And if there's a lawsuit, then we will know. Okay. Second, quick, really fast before we catch up with the 3-minuters. The Valley is giving me life. It is quintessential Valley. I'm obsessed. Okay, welcome back to all of our 3-minute skippers. If you have skipped 3 minutes, I'm letting you know you chimed in at 3 minutes and like 5 seconds. So you did a really good job scrolling. All right. Before we get into the true meat and potatoes of the whole episode, we got to say the thing. All right. This is not legal advice. Okay. We're just having fun. You and me, we're just having fun. Everything that we're about to talk about either comes from one, a court order that was filed in the court of Los Angeles, specifically under court file number 23. Write this down. If you want to look up the documents without me posting them, write this down. Case number 23 SMCV 03553. Okay. So I got this, which you can't see, from the court's website. And so everything we're going to be talking about is written by the court. And if it's not something written by the court, it's my opinion. All right. It's an opinion. It's not fact. And actually, this is an order, not an opinion. Either way, it's either from the court or it's my opinion. Okay. Now, even things the court says is alleged. So basically, I'm just doing this whole thing because Lizzo sounds very litigious. And like, quite frankly, like Lizzo, I'm just here like trying to chit chat with the girlies about what's going on. So please don't sue me. And also, you guys, this is not legal advice. Okay. Now that we have that all cleared up, and even the 3-minuters are like, I thought we skipped 3 minutes. And now all of a sudden it's been 5 and we're still not talking about it. Okay, fine. Here we go. Let's talk about Lizzo. Okay. So for everyone who remembers, and for those of you who don't, Lizzo is being sued by a bunch of her backup dancers, background, the dancers who really are those who contribute to the show. Like, imagine if Lizzo was just up there with no one at all. Like, that's an Adele thing to do. Lizzo's putting on a show. Lizzo needs men and women doing the splits behind her. And that's that on that. So her backup dancers filed this complaint and sued her. And Lizzo was like, whoa. Wait a minute. I'm actually going to file this special motion. And it's called an anti-slapp motion. Okay. Anti-Slapp is like, it sounds so hard. Like anti-slap. It's like, what does that mean? What the fuck does that mean? Slap. And also it's slap with two P's. Anti-slap. It's I don't know. I hate when like the law does this. It's like, what is anti-slap? Let's just call it what it is. It's a motion to strike because whatever. So let's go in. Let's talk about what this is. So what's an anti-slap motion? Lizzo brings this anti-slap motion because she is saying that the charges that her backup dancers brought, the claims that her backup dancers brought in their complaint should not be allowed in the complaint, and the court should actually strike them, which means they don't exist anymore for purposes of the court. And Lizzo's like, the reason why the court should make these specific sentences disappear out of the court record is because I was exercising my freedom of speech. And it is not fair if I'm exercising my freedom of speech and someone else is offended. You don't just get to sue me. Like being offended is not a lawsuit. And that's kind of what Lizzo's saying. She's like, I have this protected First Amendment right to put on a show, to create music, to put on a production, to put on a TV show, all of this stuff. This is my right protected by the Constitution. Okay. And nothing is more protective than the Constitution. I'll tell you that right now. So, according to the order that I'm reading from, in California, an individual is allowed to file a motion to strike when there is a lawsuit against them, and that lawsuit seeks to chill the defendant's freedom of speech. Okay. I think we all sing. If you guys don't know that, that's from Victorious. Anyway, or an interview about Victorious. Who cares? No one cares. But anyway, in California, someone is allowed to file a motion to strike when there's a lawsuit that seeks to chill their freedom of speech. Okay. So then you're thinking probably like, okay, and how do we know whether this chills the person's freedom of speech? Like, why shouldn't a defendant be allowed to sue someone for harm that comes out of them? By the way, in case you forgot, a lot of the allegations are really wild and crazy. And one of them is that Lizzo allegedly had her backup dancers attend a sex show in Amsterdam at the Banana Bar. Okay. Where people were having bananas in their hoo-has. And then somebody else was like, well, I need the potassium, and ate it. Okay. So on one hand, the plaintiffs are like, that's fucked up. That was fucked up that my boss made me watch some random stranger eat a banana out of another person's vagina. It's shocking. Maybe the word vagina shocked you. It should. It's shocking. But Lizzo, on the other hand, is like, well, as a creator, is it not my right to get inspiration? And that's what the court has to decide. So there's a two-step analysis that any court in California, okay, allegedly, will have to apply to determine whether this anti-slap motion that Lizzo has put forward should be granted. So first, the court decides whether defendant Lizzo, etc., has shown that the causes of action that the plaintiffs pled arise directly from a protected activity. Okay. So that means whatever comes out of the complaint that her backup dancers filed in court, that Lizzo has to tie to a First Amendment right. That's the first prong. Okay. It's a two-step analysis, 2 prongs. First prong, is there a protected activity that Lizzo was participating in that the causes of action came from? And 2, if that's true, and the court can find a connection between this activity of bananas from the vajayjay and First Amendment rights, then the court shifts the burden. And that means that instead of the defendant showing that their activity is protected, now the plaintiff has to show, the backup dancers have to show that they have a likelihood of prevailing on their complaint, or AKA winning their lawsuit. So, would the plaintiffs have any chance at all at winning this lawsuit, even if there's a protected right? Is there a possibility that the plaintiffs could win? Because if there's a possibility that the plaintiffs could win, that a jury could find that, hey, these backup dancers, they got a point, then the court can't strike that from the complaint, because strike means disappear forever. So if the plaintiffs have told this whole story, which we went over a couple episodes ago about Quiggles and the banana and the vajayjay and the urinating as a backup dancer during the audition, you know, if all of that is a protected speech and all of that could be true and could support a finding that all of this is what the dancers say it is, then the court's like, all right, well, if they would win, we can't strike it. If they can't win, we can strike it. But if there's a chance, we cannot strike it. The jury has to come to a decision. If a jury was requested, which it was, you can take my word for it. If a jury is requested. So, you know, the court has kind of a lot to think about and a lot to talk about. So Lizzo's request asked to strike most of the complaint. And when I say most of the complaint, let me just let you know exactly what she wanted. Struck or stricken, not too sure. But it's quite a bit. Okay. Lizzo asked the court to strike paragraph 12, 6 through 19, 21 through 25, 35 through 39, 45 and 46, 48 through 51, 53, 55 through 57, 59, 64 to 65, 83, 92, 111 and 112, and 113. The Lizzo says, get them out of there. We don't need these fucking paragraphs. This was my right and I should win. And then they say, and then Lizzo says, and also court, there are parts of other paragraphs that I want you to strike. And those paragraphs specifically are 34, 47, 73, 81, 84, 110, 126. So if you like line these all up on a number line, you're kind of left thinking like, okay, what's left of the complaint? I mean, they've asked to strike a majority of these paragraphs here. And the court would agree with you. In fact, the court said the allegations concern all 9 causes of action and can be split into general categories of wrongful conduct. If the motion is granted in full, the court believes there is nothing left in the complaint, and an outright dismissal would be in order. So the court's like, listen, if I granted everything that Lizzo wanted, there'd be nothing left and the whole lawsuit would be done. If you're Lizzo, you're thinking, yeah, that's the point, Yolanda. Okay. And if you're the backup dancers, you're like, yeah, that's the point, Yolanda. We would like our lawsuit back. So the court's like, we're going to do a little bit of both. I'm going to strike some and I'm going to not strike some, and you're going to like it. So here is what the court analyzed or what have you for the word. Point number 1. Did this lawsuit arise from Lizzo's exercise of her freedom of speech? Did it? That's the question that we all have to ask. And the critical point that the court is looking at is whether the backup dancers' causes of action, whether all the things they allege Lizzo did wrong, was that based on an act that was in furtherance of Lizzo's freedom of speech? That's a good point. Lizzo has a lot to say about that, because if I'm Lizzo, I'm thinking, listen, I'm trying to put on a show here. And if you don't like it, you can skedaddle. And so Lizzo argues, listen, all of the acts in this complaint are based on my creative process. Every single thing we did here was so that I could put on a show in one form or the other. Any conduct that was in furtherance of my putting on a show is in furtherance of my freedom of speech. Okay. And besides that, anything that I do is a public issue or a public interest. And so it has to be protected. I have to be able to exercise my First Amendment right to speech when the public cares about what I have to say and the art that I create. Okay. And if I'm the court, I'm going, yes, sis, agree. 1,000%. You put on your show, you do your little dance or your whatever the fuck, and that's your freedom of speech. And you should be able to do that. And if people want to participate in helping you exercise your freedom of speech and creating things that further your freedom of speech, by all means, go ahead. Do it. But then the court has to ask, well, like, does the public care? Lizzo says the public cares. Lizzo said this is such an issue of public interest. Like, anything I do, the public cares about. Okay, well, the court can't just like take her word for it. I mean, it'd be nice, but the court also has to be like, okay, well, what's a public interest? What does it mean for the public to be interested in what you have to do? Does it mean the public has to benefit from it, that they have an interest financially in it, or that they care? Like, let's define the word interest. And that is exactly why I like the law. It's because it's like the epitome of, what did you mean by that? What did you mean when you said interest? What did you mean by that? Prove it. And I don't know. I like to live in that sort of category of like, well, when you said interest, like, what did you mean? And, maybe that's why I'm not engaged. But, we do what we can to survive. It's a long life and it's also very short and we don't want to get bored. So the court goes, what's a public interest? First, we look at the content of the speech. What is she saying? What is she doing? What is this protected thing creating? Is she creating a song? Is she creating something that creates speech? Or is it just her and the girlies hanging out back at home and she's like, watch them eat this banana out of a JJ now? Because if it's like that, it's like, okay, well, that's a little aggressive. But if it's like, will you please come with me and watch this woman eat a banana from a vajayjay, because I think we could do something like this in my show. I think we could really become inspired. That's different. And then the court goes, okay, what relationship exists between this speech and public conversation? That's a great question. Well, listen, I'm not on anyone's side here, but I would just say the fact that I'm doing an entire podcast episode, sitting down, taking to the mic and putting my thoughts, words, and opinions out forever for the entire internet to hear and talk about, I think that demonstrates there is a public conversation. And whatever Lizzo is doing to create anything that has anything to do with other people, that is a public interest. That is a public concern. You guys are listening. I'm listening. I'm talking about it. We're Googling it. A lot of you are going to ask me for a copy of the order, and I'm going to give it to you. So the relationship between the speech, which it's so, I hate when the law does this. It's like, okay, yeah, it's called freedom of speech, but also like, you don't have to say anything, it's still speech. You don't have to say anything. It's just like the idea. And that's also, I think, why I like being an attorney, because it's like, okay, well, just because I said speech doesn't mean I have to talk. And so shut up. And that's exactly why we go into this field. But the relationship between Lizzo putting on this show, putting on rehearsals, putting on, I mean, I don't even know what else, whatever else it takes to create her image, likeness, art, all of that, every single thing that she does in furtherance of her freedom of speech. I'm talking about it on the internet, and I'm not the only one, because a lot of people are talking about it on the internet. There's websites are talking about it, you guys. Like E! News is talking about it. So Lizzo says, and Lizzo agrees with me, and I kind of agree with her, this all came from a TV show. Lizzo says, I'm famous, you guys. Okay, whatever you're the backup dancers, I'm famous. I have a snow plow in Minnesota named after me, aka Blizzo. And it's because she's a Minnesotan. And as a new, 3-year-old Minnesotan, I support Blizzo. And she's right. She's famous. She is famous to the point where there is a snowplow named after her. Think about any circumstance that might have to happen for a snowplow to be named after you. And I'm not trying to say that to like make you feel bad about yourself. Like, you're a queen, icon, legend, king, icon, legend, and I support you, but like, where art thou, snowplow? You don't have one. Lizzo does. So it's a public interest. Everything she does is a public interest. Her concerts, television shows, statements. Someone's going to talk about it. It's in the public. People care. But the backup dancers say, okay, whatever. Just because you're a celebrity doesn't mean that everything you do interests the public. Just because you're a celebrity doesn't mean that you get to require me to go to a sex show and the public has an interest in that. The public doesn't have an interest in cast meetings. The public doesn't have an interest in cast outings. They don't have an interest in the prayer group. And I'll tell you what, the court said, well, I agree. That's true, Lizzo. You might be a celebrity and all, and that's great. And you have a snowplow and what have you, but nobody really cares what's going on in your meetings. And that's because nobody cares what's going on in their own meeting. But then the court also says, but yeah, okay. Yeah, I kind of agree with you. Nobody has an interest in cast meetings and outings and prayers. Like, no one's peeking into my law firm and going like, oh my God, we all need to talk about what Lauren and all of her coworkers did when they went to San Diego. That's true. But the court goes, but when the issue's Lizzo's cast meetings, okay, someone's a fan. When it's Lizzo's cast meetings, outings, and prayer groups, and so on and so forth, while on tour, that's different because she is a celebrity, and that's going to elevate mundane issues, meetings, whatever, fittings, prayer groups, all of those silly little things. That gets elevated because Lizzo is a celebrity. We all care. And I'd have to say, I kind of agree with the court. Like, much like the court, I'm also a fan of Lizzo. And so I do care what's going on. I do care what happened at her cast meetings. I do care what happens on her prayer groups. And we're going to talk about it. And like, thousands of you are going to listen. And then thousands of you are also going to talk about it. So as I'm impartial. I'm acting like the court here. Like, I I'm here for everyone. I'm here for your First Amendment right. I'm here for your right to not be sexually assaulted at work. I'm going to pretend I'm the court and I'm just going to make a decision. And in this instance, what I'm saying is I agree with the court. I do agree that, yeah, while a cast meeting is irrelevant for literally like myself and for you, no one cares what's going on in your meetings. Nobody cares. It's Lizzo. We care. People tune into her TV shows. So that satisfies that. So then the court's like, okay, we get it. People care. So what does it mean to have an act that furthers the creative process? Well, this is kind of long-winded because the court will look at each cause of action that the plaintiffs have brought, all the allegations, and they say, okay, allegation 1, well, is this in furtherance of the creative process? So then the court went line by line by line, and they're like, okay, first of all, plaintiffs said that Lizzo created an environment of sexual harassment, and they failed to protect Lizzo and her company. Failed to protect their workers from the sexual harassment. The dancers claim that Lizzo and all her Lizzolis were forced. They forced these people to participate in a nude photo shoot. So they were forced to participate in a nude photo shoot. They were forced to participate in the show at the Banana Bar and the Crazy Horse. And they were forced to listen to, and you remember her quite well, Miss Quiggles and her religious comments about everyone's virginity and sexuality and making sexual gestures and etc. and so forth. Okay. And then the dancers are like, oh yeah. And the cherry on top of all of this with the sexual harassment and Miss Quiggles and the nude photo shoot is the fucking bus driver and the fucking crew members that were male. They also sexually assaulted us. Okay. Paints a total picture of like, this is a dangerous work environment. You mean to tell me that these men and women these people are going into their place of business and then their boss is coming up to them and being like, oh, you're a virgin? I would die. Because first of all, I'm obviously not. I listen to call her daddy. Just kidding. We don't need to talk about that. Okay. Claims 3 and 4. This is when the plaintiffs are like, listen, there was religious harassment. The Quigs got all up in my grill about my religion and my sexuality. And then Miss Quiggles made us all hold hands and participate in a prayer ceremony. And that's ridiculous. And then as a reminder, their 5th claim was racial discrimination. And this is important because, well, everything's important, but this is especially important because you're going to want to dog ear this, or what I think that's what you call it, dog ear, where you like put the corner of your book, the page of your book down and you bookmark it. You got to dog ear this because what the plaintiffs say is there were statements made by the defendants, Lizzo and her company and Quigs, that really disparaged the Black members of the dance squad and said that the Black members of the dance squad were lazy, unprofessional, and had a bad attitude. Okay. But only to the Black members of the dance squad. Claim 5, you're going to want to remember. Okay. Okay, claim 6, they go, okay, also there was like a disability discrimination because the one backup dancer said, I had anxiety. I have really bad anxiety and I can't do things as well as people who don't have anxiety can do things. And the whole re-audition process made me feel like I could not leave the stage and leave this audition to pee. And instead, this person said, I had to pee my pants. Let that, no pun intended, soak in. This person had to pee their pants, not just by themselves either. They had to pee their pants in front of all the other people who wanted their job just as bad as they did. And then, like, okay, so imagine you're at a group interview. Okay, we've all had it where you're applying for a job and you need to meet with the whole C-suite and like the CEO and the CFO and the CPA and the CP3O or whatever the fuck. They're all like, well, we all need to talk to this person so that we can make sure that everyone's part of a team, even though we don't even know how to check our emails, which is what happens. So you're in front of all those people, all right, at your job interview. Not only that, but all the people you're competing with who also want that job, they're all in the room with you and you're all being interviewed at the same time. This isn't just a group interview where it's like, okay, there's one of me, there's four of you. You're all going to ask me questions and I'm going to do my best. And it's not the group interview where it's like, okay, there's five of you, there's three of us. We're all going to kind of do our best while also kind of competing. This is like you had this job and now you are going to have to reapply to this job along with everybody else. And you're going to have to prove to us why you should continue having your job and why we shouldn't give it to somebody we just met. Okay. So if that was me, I would be like, yeah, I obviously cannot leave this room because Sally is going to beat me and Sally can leave the room, but I can't leave the room. So this woman said, I have to go pee, but this is where I have to go. And so she peed her pants or her leotard or whatever. And either way, it's awful. And then she also says that Lizzo said that because this woman gained weight, it was grounds for termination. Okay, imagine you go to work and your boss is like, wow, Bethany. It looks like you went a little heavy on the hors d'oeuvres at the business function the other day. And so you should have had the salad, but instead you had the, mushroom croûtes with the butter and the Comté cheese, and the puff pastry. And so you got a little fat. And maybe you're on your period and you're a little bloated. Either way, you're fat. You're fat and I'm going to fire you. Okay. I can solemnly swear that I will never fire anyone for being overweight or even 1 pound different than they were when they got hired. But that's not the nature of my business. Lizzo's like, the nature of my business is how these people look. I have a vision. They don't meet the vision. They're out. My vision is 5'7", 130 pounds. This person is 5'7", 330 pounds. They're out. So those are the arguments. And then, as we know, the plaintiffs go on by saying, Lizzo also interfered with our ability to make money at other times because she put me on a soft hold and said, you're not allowed to work for anybody else. If you want to work for me, you're on hold. Okay. No money, nothing, but you can, if you want to dance for Lizzo, you're only going to dance for Lizzo. And it makes me think about the whole drama between Taylor Swift and Katy Perry, where I believe it was Taylor Swift was going on a tour and had a bunch of backup dancers and was like training them. They were practicing. And then Katy Perry was like, you should come on my California Girls tour because we're going to wear cupcake bras and we're going to lay in cotton candy clouds. And Taylor's not going to do that. Okay. She's washed up. And so the backup dancers joined Team Katy, which, like, if you told me, all right, you're either going to do a snake theme or we're going to sit on cotton candy and we're going to eat cupcake boobies, I would do the second. I would sit on the flower or the cloud and eat cupcake boobies. Why not? So claim 8 is that the backup dancers claimed that Lizzo made some statements and made some actions that actually constituted assault. So this boss of these people actually assaulted her employees, and the employees are like, listen, we may dance for you, but that does not mean you may abuse us. That's a good point, if you ask me. Claim number 9. This one is wild. If you don't remember, go back a couple episodes, and it talks about how one of the dancers was actually confined, okay, locked up, hashtag locked up abroad, hashtag locked up by Lizzo, by tour management until they confirmed that this person deleted a video from their phone. All right. So like we said, we see both sides, because I can definitely see myself if someone like recorded a video of me like absolutely losing my shit or like being crazy or being ridiculous. And I would be like, you need to delete that. And I'm sure you would too. You'd be like, you have got to delete this. This is my livelihood. Delete it. You know, but as the person who has the video on my phone, I would be like, excuse me. Not only is this my phone, but you have got to let me out of this room, because I am now falsely imprisoned and you got to stop. So that's the issue there. It's like claim number 9. Did the tour managers like literally lock these people in a room and not let them go until they deleted a recording? Because that's an issue. So Lizzo argues, listen, all of it, yeah, whatever, it seems harsh. You know, in the words of Vanessa Hudgens, people are going to die. It's inevitable. Lizzo says it's part of the creative process. People are going to be sexually assaulted. It's inevitable. And the court goes, we agree. Actually, to an extent, we agree. And then they cheersed. And then they took a sip of their martini. And then they continued on. And they said, you, Lizzo, babe, you were creating a television show and we get it. You created a television show. All of these people needed to be involved and said they wanted to be involved. And there is nothing more free speechy than creating a television show. You are creating speech and you are broadcasting it to the masses, and we fucking love it. Now, as an American, I agree. Make your TV show, broadcast it to the world. Put your art out there. I'm putting my art out there. Yes, I believe this is art. Maybe you don't. And then maybe you should still leave a 5-star review, but kindly bow out. That's none of my business. It's just not. But Lizzo goes through and she goes, okay, remember, you agree with me. I agree with me. This was all creative, and I'm going to tell you why. And this is what the court agreed to. So now I'm speaking from the court. So now I have a deeper voice and I'm made out of mahogany instead of having a fun voice and covered in sparkles, as if I was Lizzo or even a backup dancer. Now I'm mahogany and I have a deep voice. I am the court. Even if I'm a woman, which all women should be allowed to be judges on the court, and I should not be canceled for that. Courts have a deeper voice. So the court goes, here's where I agree with Lizzo. Okay. Number 1 fan trying to get backup or background seats or whatever you call it behind the stage. And the court goes, okay, regarding the nude photo shoot, hiring and firing dancers is part of the creative process. Okay. It's just like nature of the beast. The singer is going to select who plays with them. The performer is going to select who performs with them. Whatever you are doing to select the people who help you perform, whether it's audibly by playing an instrument or visually by playing themselves as an instrument and dancing, whatever it is, You are selecting people to assist you in furtherance of your art. And so that's protected. And then it's like, I kind of agree with that. I agree. If someone is helping you get your art out there, that's protected. They could quit. They can quit. Might they suffer some financial angst? Might they not be able to make their rent? They might not, but they can quit and they can find another job. And so that's where I'm like, all right, yeah, see it, we're going nude. If you don't want to play, don't play. We'll get someone in here who wants to play. And just to equate that to all of us people who aren't Lizzo and aren't putting on a show, I'm sure we've all been to sleepovers or participated in sleepover parties as youngsters where it's like the dare is always like, go run and streak through the neighborhood for 5 seconds and then come back. And everyone's like, holy shit, they're going to run naked down the street. That person could say no. That person could be like, actually, Ellen, that's not what I'm going to do. They're allowed to say no. Just like the backup dancers are allowed to be like, okay, I thought this was one thing. I thought we were dancing, but now that we're here, like, I don't think I'm down to pose nude. I'm going to go. And then Liz also be like, okay, go, bye. Bye. I'll find someone who will. So that's that. So then the court goes, all right. And then the backup dancers had a problem with the feedback. And by feedback, what the court is talking about is the time when the girl went pee-pee in her pants. Yeah. Apparently that was feedback, the re-audition process. And the court goes, all right, here's the deal with that. So sorry you peed. It's itchy. It's warm. It causes a problem for everyone involved. And I'm sure she had to move from her spot. It caused problems. Nobody wants to see that or experience it. But the judge says, listen, the re-audition process, that's all just part of Lizzo's vision. She's trying to create a vision. And so she's got to make sure, you were fine then. Are you fine now? Or can we get someone else who, embodies my vision more and can create my art the way I want to create the art? That's, I guess a point. At the same time, I'm like, okay, there's a difference between can this person help an artist create art? And does this person feel like if they leave to relieve themselves, that they can't have a job, that their chances are done? Because it's not like she's like, oh, I really need a cigarette. Oh my God, I need a cigarette. I got to go outside. She's like, I have to pee, actually. And, there's only so long you can hold your pee before you pee or you get a UTI. I'm speaking from experience because, God, I remember, and it's like, okay, you pee your pants as an adult. All right, you do. And just to make the playing field even, I will never forget when I was in college and I was living with one of my besties who I'm still besties with to this day. She was single. I was always single, like until I met George. But she was single after like 4 years. And she's like, okay, Lauren, like, can you take me to this party? I want to meet this boy. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I will. I will. I will be the driver. I will stay sober and I will drive you to meet this man from Tinder. So long as, because there's always a caveat, so long as I can wear your super cute knee-high Steve Madden boots that were like camel tone and leather and so cute. And so my friend's like, all right, fine. And you can even drive my car, which I loved. because she had a Jeep and I had a Kia, and it was so much more fun to drive the Kia. So we head out. Here I am in her knee-high boots, no fur, all leather. I got on a little skirt. I'm skinny. I'm in college. I'm cute as hell. And I'm like, I'm the DD. Let's go. Drive her to this place, which, mind you, I'm not making this up. We lived in Los Angeles. The apartment complex that we went to so that this girl could meet this man was across the street from an abandoned mental hospital. So I was already kind of like, all right, so not only am I sober, there's a mental hospital across the street and I kind of want to go, but I can't go because I'm supervising this first Tinder date. Anyway, I'm drinking water like it's going out of business because I don't know about you, but when I get nervous, like I need to have something in my hand and then I need to drink it. I mean, hopefully it's not like an ink pen I have in my hand and it's like an actual beverage, but I'm just like, I'm nervous. What can I do with my hands? And what can I do with my mouth? And what could those combinations of things be that doesn't create a sexual experience for anybody? I just want to drink a drink and keep my hands free. So, long story short, I drank a fuck ton of water and then push came to shove. It was 3 a.m. It was time to go. I go, all right, babe, get in the car. We're going home. We go home. We obviously have to stop at Mickey D's and get soft serve ice cream cones. So I'm like, okay, here's yours. Here's mine. We're going to go home. We're home. I park the car. Here I am in my cute little mini skirt and my friend's boots. And we're in the elevator and I'm sober and I have to pee. And my best friend is wasted holding an ice cream cone saying, "You want some ice cream, Lieutenant Dan?" And totally quoting Lieutenant Dan ice cream scene from Forrest Gump. Obviously, I laughed so hard. I not only peed my mini skirt, but all the pee went down both of my legs and puddled inside of both of my friend's boots. So I know a thing or two about not only peeing my own pants, but also peeing my friend's boots. And I will say that was in 2016. It is 2024, and she has brought this story up to me. So I understand the embarrassment of not being able to live down a public pee incident. Mine was in an elevator with one other person, and I can't live it down. So I don't know if I agree with the court there. I don't know if it's about the vision. I don't know, but I also don't need to know. Regarding the soft hold, the fact that you're not allowed to work because we might call you in for a tour. The court goes, it's negotiations. They're trying to staff a tour. Of course, it's in furtherance of the creative process, for God's sakes. Okay, fine. When you put it that way, I kind of agree. It's like, yeah, I'm trying to put on a show. Are you in or are you not? We got to figure it out. If you're in, please don't work for the next 5 weeks. If you're out, I don't give a fuck, but you're not going to be part of my show. Okay. The court also goes, okay, all right, regarding the whole decision-making process of personnel who are putting on the show, also protected. The court also said regarding producing a show and the decisions that go into producing a show, that's all protected. You are creating speech. If you are producing a show, you're creating speech and you should be able to do that. Okay. Well, you guys remember that. Not you guys meaning you guys meaning the court and the government, because it's like, I feel as though There are some things that people want shows about that other people are like, you can't possibly have a show about that, but whatever. It's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. But remember when I told you, remember this claim, because we're going to come back to it. If you remember, that was when the whole thing came up about Lizzo and her company calling the Black members of the dance team lazy, unprofessional, and snarky. Okay. This is where I have a big problem, because the court goes, even if it's alleged to be racist, this is a quote, even if it's alleged to be racist, the court needs to look at Lizzo's conduct without relying on the motive that the dancers alleged. And it's like, okay, so if I'm sitting crisscross applesauce with my hands in my lap and I say something racist, but I'm filming it because it's for the art, that's okay. Right? We're all like, what the fuck? How beast? How dare you? In the words of Eileen Davidson. Yeah, absolutely. That's it. My gut reaction is like, how is it not racist to call a specific group of people on this team? So it's a whole team made up of all different types of people, men, women, white people, Black people, Asian people, Middle Eastern people, all kinds of fucking people make up Lizzo's dance team. And you're going to call out a specific group of people, specifically the Black members of this dance team. And you're going to hurl allegations about laziness, unprofessionalism, and snark just against those people for purportedly acting the same way everybody else on the team acted or has said. That's racist. That's fucked up. And the court goes, maybe it is. Maybe it is racist. But was it made in furtherance of a creative activity? The court goes, yeah. Because when Lizzo's team said to these specific people, you're lazy, you're unprofessional, and you're snarky, those comments were made in the entire context of negotiating a retainer. And because you were negotiating a retainer for the purposes of a tour, which is an expression of creativity and an expression of speech, that is protected. Okay, let's all take a sip. Remember I said get your bevies. We're all going to take a big sip. Ready? Okay. That's so fucked up. That is so fucked up. And I'm going to tell you why the court said that. The court said that. The court said, even if it's racist, it's fine. Because, and this is the beautiful, horrible part of the First Amendment. We want to encourage speech. This is one of the only countries where you can say whatever the fuck you want. You're allowed to get on the internet and you're allowed to say, fuck Donald Trump. I fucking hate him. He sucks. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's a criminal and a buffoon. And you're also allowed to get on a microphone and you're allowed to say, fuck Joe Biden. He's an old man and he's only wearing glasses because they're prescription and he can't see, which also same. And also, like, he fell off a bike. He should not be running this country. You are allowed to say that. You're also allowed to be a complete and utter racist. And quite frankly, the Supreme Court has, ruled that you're even allowed to be an absolute white supremacist. all speech is protected, even if it's offensive. Because, and I know that's like, okay, tough pill to swallow. Like, there's a difference between offensive and just plain wrong. There's a difference between you're just like being kind of rude and saying things against me that they don't feel good and it's rude, and targeting people and saying very specific things about them that is something that is already a negative connotation towards that group of individuals. You're going to sit there and you're going to say that specifically. That's bad and that's racist. And the court goes, and it's also allowed, because we can't pick and choose what free speech is. Free is free. If you want to take that privilege and use it and be a complete fuckface, okay, go ahead. We have to let you do that. If you want to use that privilege, if you want to use that privilege and you want to advocate for people and you're like, no, fuck that. That's wrong. We're standing up for people. We're educating the rest of America and we're breaking barriers and we're including everybody. That's also protected, because the government is like, free is free. And quite recently, and actually yesterday, I had an interaction where I was in a hearing and I was in front of a judge, and it was me and opposing party and whatever. And we're there, we're introducing ourselves to the judge and being like, this is us and this is what we want, and so on and so forth. And the judge said, and it struck a serious chord with me. The judge goes, okay, by the way, everyone, listen up and listen here. And I'm paraphrasing, so this is something to the effect of, if you want to know what the judge actually said, you can order the transcript. But the judge said something to the effect of, listen, if you bring an issue to me, if there is a question between the two of you, the two parties, and you can't pick an answer, and you ask me to pick an answer, I'm not your friend. I'm not going to sit here and think about, well, how will petitioner feel? How will plaintiff feel? How will respondent feel? How will defendant feel? Who do I like? What do I do? What's fair? He goes, I will not decide that way. I am the government and I will decide your question as the government, and I will give you a government answer. Okay. And I have told every client I have, and oh, did you hear the jingle? That was Heidi's little collar. Heidi, the dog, she's done sitting under my feet. She wants some stretches. Anyway, it's like the judge is right. And I tell all my clients this too. It's like the worst case scenario is going to trial. The worst case scenario is going in front of a judge. And that's because you don't want this person to decide. You don't want the government to tell you what to do. Nobody does. That's why we're in America. If you want the government to tell you what to do, you'll go somewhere else. None of us do. That's like a common, oh my God, I just caught a glimpse of my reflection and I have a side part and I'm just thinking like, oh my God, I'm such a millennial. Okay. Don't tell my sister. She's like, why didn't you part your hair right? It's so tough being the oldest sister. But anyway, that's the soapbox on freedom of speech. And that's why the court was like, yeah, you're okay. So maybe it was racist to call them, this whole group of people, lazy and unprofessional, but is it wrong? No. So that's that on that. I don't agree. You don't have to agree. You can agree. I don't know if you should, but that's not my problem. And that's just what the court said. Okay. And the court goes, these comments were made by management. They were in the context of negotiating retainers. Protected. Okay, now the prayer circles. Ugh. The court goes, it's a close call. It's pretty close there. Because if there's one thing that the court gets really obsessed with, it's religion. And the court's either like, we love religion. Religion and religious beliefs should rule the government, and all decisions should be based on these people's religion. And then there's other courts that are like, okay, this is a religious thing. That's kind of on you. It's your freedom of speech, but not my problem. And that's sort of the direction this court takes, what I'm going to call the Lizzo court. They go, okay, it's a close call. Okay. It's not right. And these people should not be proselytizing to their employees. But that being said, participating in a prayer circle prior to going up on a stage or being a part of a world tour. And I think we all see this when we watch the Netflix documentaries about our favorite artists and their tours, like Katy Perry and her prayer circle and this, that, and the other thing. The court goes, this is common. I have information that says this is common. Lizzo is not the only person to do a prayer circle. Lots of people do prayer circles. It's almost industry standard before every live performance. And that fact shows that there is a functional relationship between this prayer circle and the creative process. If everyone is doing a prayer circle before they go up on stage, they're all right, let me think of how I say intricately. That's not right. Intricately. Intimately. They're intertwined. Okay. They're one in the same. We don't, whatever the vocab word is. Now, the court goes, you want to know it's not protected? Fucking Miss Quiggles, get up here, front and fucking center. Miss Quiggles, you're going to stand in front of the court, and the court is going to tell you, Quiggs, your religious and sexual comments made during rehearsals, no, honey. It doesn't matter that you were religious and sexual during a practice, during the creative process. It doesn't matter. You didn't further it. So the court is saying, whenever Quiggs was like, oh, you're a virgin, it's like that was out of pocket and that was not okay. And it's like, all right, so here's where I'm having a bit of like an internal conflict. So it's all fine and dandy if we make racist comments, but the second we're like, oh, you're a virgin, I'm sorry, that's a big no-no. Don't make me get on a soapbox about women's reproductive health and reproductive rights. Because to me, it's like, okay, so you're allowed to make racist comments and that's protected and you can do whatever you want. But the second we're questioning a woman's sexuality, whether she has engaged in sex or not, whether she's saving herself for one partner or not, all of a sudden, that isn't protected. That isn't your First Amendment right. Okay. It's very confusing to me. If I want to know if you think differently and you think, maybe the racist comment shouldn't be protected or Quiggles' religious comment should be protected, I want to hear from you. It's one thing for me to sit here and have all these opinions, but I really want to know, what do you think? Let's take a quick break. All right. And we're back. So now that we've had that whole conversation about, is this in furtherance of free speech or is it not, which is a big question. In fact, the first question the court has to ask. Now we're going to look at the burden shifting. Have the plaintiffs put things in their complaint that they could quite possibly succeed on. And so the court goes through it again, one after another, and it's like, you want to know why this opinion was 37 pages and costed me $16 to save and print out? It's because here we go again, which we have to. And I'm not complaining, like, from a legal standpoint, sure, whatever. From someone who's like talking about it, oh my God, we have to do this again. So the complaint goes, all right, now we have to go through and see what the plaintiffs have to say. So the first cause of action, nude photo shoot. That's sexual harassment, according to the backup dancers. Now, the court's like, okay, well, you have to go ahead and show that it's not just like kind of offensive, but actually someone discriminated against you because of your sex. So it can't be like, okay, yeah. Was it a little offensive that we asked you to be nude? Sure. But did we make you do it because you were a woman? No, we made the men do it too. So the court's like, you have to kind of distinguish here. Is it just kind of sexually offensive? And you're like, man, I don't want to do that. Or was it an actual discrimination against you because of your sex? And that's where the definition of sex is important. We all know. So the court goes, you know what? There's actually nothing in the facts here. There's no indication of sexual interest. None. And there's no indication of sexual favoritism, and nothing that the dancers have put out there has even shown that. So Lizzo wins. The photo shoot, the nude photo shoot, is protected, and the court says, let's strike it from the complaint. So anything, all those paragraphs that had to do with the nude photo shoot and how that impacted the backup dancers, that's off the table. The court goes, white it out, redact it. It never happened. I didn't read it. What nude photo shoot? Hell if I know. Lizzo wins. The second cause of action, the court also kind of takes like the cheap route, and they go, all right, and also same as number one, Lizzo wins. So, okay, it's cool. Same as number one, Lizzo wins. We're all tired of this opinion by this point. The third cause of action, religious discrimination. The dancers are like, listen, Quigs McGee, Quigs knew that we didn't share the same religious beliefs. Quigs knew that she was a Christian and I was not. And even so, even knowing that I didn't share the same beliefs as the Quigmeister, they made these prayer circles mandatory. And that's singling me out. And the court goes, all right, I agree with you. I agree with you, backup dancers. Listen, there's enough evidence here that you've put in front of me, the court, that would let a jury agree with you. A jury could be like, I agree with the dancers. Quigs was in the wrong. Quigs should not have brought up any religious beliefs. Like, it's too much. And so the court goes, well, because the court could, a jury could find that. Not struck. The dancers win. And I'm like, okay. I understand that there's a question here, and that, you know, any reasonable person on a jury could see that there's a question there. And what I want to know is, why is there no question there with the nude photo shoot? So then the court moves on to the fourth cause of action, which was the religious discrimination lawsuit. The plaintiffs are like, we're backup dancers. You did not protect us from religious discrimination. And in fact, you forced us to participate in prayer circles that we want nothing to do with. And the court once again goes, oh, you want to pray about it? You win, dancers. That's fucked up. That's wrong. She can make you be naked, but she cannot ask you to pray about it. That's the line. Okay? Your entire career can be hinged on whether you spread them in front of a camera for America and the world to see. It's fine. That's art. That's art, baby. That's art, baby. But you, Miss Quiggs, want these people to participate in a prayer? That's the line. Fuck no. So that's what the court has to say. Now, racial discrimination. Again, it's confusing because now, remember where I was all up in arms with the court and I go, what the fuck? You can't just, you think you can say these things, Nemo, but you just can't. And the court goes, I told you you could say these things, but you just can't, Nemo. And the court goes, the dancers say they're part of a protected class. As a minority racial group, that is a legally protected class. There are things that you cannot do or say about a particular protected class. They have a, how do I put it? They're protected. How about I just say it that way? They're protected. There are less things you can do or say against a specific group of people in a protected class that you can say against people who are not in a protected class. As a white person, I'm not in a protected class. As a woman, I am. Because I'm straight, not in a protected class. If I were gay in any way, here comes a protected class. So the court goes, all right, the dancers, what they said, they are part of a protected class. This is a group of Black individuals that's a race-based protected class. And these unwanted comments about laziness and this, that, and the other thing, that's unwanted. And these people are protective. And the court goes, all right, I'm going to quote the court. There isn't too much of a win here. Okay, what the fuck is it with this court being like, racism is fine, but sex is another thing. All right, it's just like weirdly puritanical for a California court, in my opinion. But I have nothing to do with it. So the court goes, not too much of a win here, but if we sort of favor the plaintiffs and we sort of lean into what they have to say, someone somewhere could infer that there's a conflict between white managers and Black dancers. So the dancers win. And like, I agree that the dancers should win, but the reasons why the dancers should win, I don't know. It's like, and then it's like, am I not in favor of free speech? I'm in favor of free speech. That I think there's a difference here between, and what I think the court has not analyzed at all is, here the court is saying, well, Lizzo's a celebrity. Well, anything Lizzo does is part of public concern. The public wants to know. We should be able to talk about it. This, everything she does is part of creating her art, except for this, that, and the other thing. But the majority of it is creating art. So we need to protect it. Forgot. So yeah, the dancers say there's a conflict here, and the court says, I agree, there's a conflict here. And so, as the court says, not too much of a win here, but a win's a win. And how dare you for slimming the win. So then the sixth cause of action, disability discrimination regarding the PP on the dance floor, the court goes, it just kind of seems like you were fired because you recorded a meeting and not because you disclosed anything, not because you said you had anxiety and you were gaining weight. It seems like you just recorded a confidential meeting. And so Lizzo won on that one. And okay, I see it. I agree. Seventh cause of action, the soft hold. They go, all right, none of you dancers showed anything that would prove to me, the court, that the soft hold is wrong. All right. Here's where I have to say about that. Here's my opinion, and this is just an opinion, and I'm not trying to get worked up. If somebody says you can't do anything, you're put on pause for any ability to make money, you are not allowed to make money because I might call you in a few weeks. That's wrong. Forcing people to not earn an income or not participate in income earning or not participate in the economy or refusing to allow them to exercise their freedoms and get a job or choose not to have a job, all of that to me is wrong. Nobody gets to tell somebody, you don't get to have another job. You have to be unemployed. Okay, we did away with that. We have done away as a country. We are done telling people that they have to do a job for no money or that they cannot do a job for no money. I thought that was decided years ago. Okay, especially in California where it's supposed to be like a liberal leaning, which is like, oh, this is supposed to be a liberal versus non-liberal thing. It's like, see, this is where I'm like, you're going to get me all up in arms, court. But it's like, no, I think that's wrong. And I think the fact that Lizzo won that, if I were the attorney for the backup dancers, I would say, fuck it. We're appealing just on that. On that alone. Nobody gets to tell somebody that they are not allowed to work or that they must work and pay them no money for that. If your employer says, or potential employer says, well, for the next 6 months, don't take any new jobs. Okay. No new jobs, but you're not working for me, but you're not allowed to work for 6 months, but I'm not going to pay you. What the fuck? What is that? What is that? So I don't know. I'm like, where's the Court of Appeals? Somebody call her because this is not okay. So then the court actually calls upon the Court of Appeals themselves and says, this is their final summary. The court goes, okay. And in conclusion, what I have to say is, and they said, this court was presented with a number of difficult issues. This was hard. And I agree, this was hard. And the court goes, a lot of these allegations, it's like they're either protected or they're a matter of public interest. So it's like, this was kind of hard. And it's like, I did my best, but is it a public matter of concern or is it a difficult issue? I don't know. But then the court goes, but I personally, as a court, the court is wary of injecting itself into the creative process, which, I mean, you almost have to support. Why should a court, aka the government, as we spoke about before, who is the court in this world? Who is Adrienne Maloof in this world to inject themselves into the creative process and say, oh, you wanted to do XYZ? Well, I don't agree. So your little creative vision is squashed. It's a slippery slope, as one might say. So the court goes on and says, like, we as an institution do not favor. We take no liking towards chilling a constitutional right. So if you have a constitutional freedom of speech, who am I to hinder that? And in that case, I agree. Who are you, court, to hinder that? I don't know. Who is Adrienne Maloof in this world? And then they go, and this is a direct quote, "It is dangerous," which I agree, "for the court to weigh in ham-fisted," which is like all I can picture is like a big, like hairy hand of a man holding like a honey baked ham. And that man is like, "It's dangerous," holding the ham. That's just what I picture when the court says it is dangerous for the court to weigh in ham-fisted. I don't know. Maybe I'm just far too young to understand the reference, but ham-fisted does not sound like a real thing to me. Okay, so the court goes, "It is dangerous for the court to weigh in ham-fisted into constitutionally protected activity." You know, Lizzo's freedom of speech. But, and in my case, it's a big one, but it is equally dangerous. So just as dangerous as it is for the court to chill speech, it is just as dangerous to turn a blind eye to discrimination and other forms of misconduct just because this conduct took place in a situation where there was speech involved and that someone was exercising their constitutional right. And that's super true. And then the court says the court has tried to thread this needle, although the court, being a trial court only, which, like, girl, you are not just a trial court. You are not a trial court only. And I would implore the court to edit or amend their order and remove that. How dare you limit yourself? Well, I do agree. The trial court is limited in its authority. I just think we all should be speaking highly of ourselves. So while the court has tried to thread this needle, although the court, being a trial court only, is well aware that this is likely the first stop on the case's journey. So yeah, the court kind of humbled itself. It goes, "All right, this is my decision, but we all know it's not the buck does not end here." And the court was right, because both parties filed an appeal and both parties were like, the court got it wrong, figure it out, Court of Appeals, make a new law. So in conclusion, what was struck from the complaint is the stuff about the nude photo shoot, the disability discrimination allegations regarding les pipis on the dance floor, the fact that the dancer was fired for having anxiety, depression, and an eating disorder, and the soft hold, all that is granted. The court goes, white it out. What nude photo shoot? But denied it as to the remainder. As to the remainder, the court said that's written in ink, and that was filed with the court, and we're going to consider it. So both parties appealed, and I'm going to let you know something. This is going to be very expensive. And I know this because when Lizzo won a little bit of her anti-Slapp lawsuit, apparently there's a law that says if you win, even if it's only partially, you can recoup your attorney's fees the other party has to pay them, like in proportion to what you've won. So if you've won half, you can recoup half. It doesn't mean the court will let you. If you won a quarter, you can recoup a quarter, but doesn't mean the court will let you. So Lizzo goes, well, I won some and I lost some, so I should be able to recuperate some. And that sum that Lizzo is trying to recoup, guess how much it is? All right. Okay. So guess how much it has cost Lizzo to defend this lawsuit from the fall of last year. Let's call it October. I think it was November. We'll call it October to be, I don't know, like generous. Okay. October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. Okay. All right. So it's 8 months. 8 months, but this is like 2 motions. Okay. Guess how much Lizzo has said that she spent on her anti-slap motion up until this point. Did you say 10,000? No, wrong. Did you say $25,000? No, you're not correct. Lizzo said and has requested that her backup dancers, who she fired and made pee on the dance floor, pay $84,729.10. Do not get me on my soapbox about rich people, but really? And 10 cents? Let's just round it up to 84,730 or round it down to 84,700. The 10 cents, it's like, okay, let's nickel and dime ya. For God's sakes, Lizzo. And whose fault is it that you chose an expensive attorney? That's what I would say. That's what I would say. $84,000. Okay, so that's me as a normal person. And then me as an attorney is like, yeah. And we didn't even charge her for all the emails. So we gave her a lot of shit for free. And that's what I say as an attorney and what I say as a normal person who's foregoing their license. Like $84,000? Thank God she's a millionaire with her own fucking snowplow named Blizzo, because holy shit. I don't even think I've earned $84,000 in a year. Like, that's a lot of money. And of course she makes a lot of money, but like, what the fuck? So anyway, that's what she asked for. But you want to know, the court was like, the court said, I hear you, Lizzo. I know you spent a lot of money, but you both appealed. And so let's wait and see what the Court of Appeal says. Because that, remember what I said, like, you can recoup your fees like in proportion to what you've won. So the court's like, let's figure out what you've really won before I go ahead and assign you attorney's fees, because we'll just be back here. If the court's like, yeah, you won 50% of this motion, and then grants $42,000 in attorney's fees, and then the Court of Appeals is like, actually, Lizzo won nothing. I mean, it's the same old tale of like, you pay for something from a company and they have no problem taking your money really quickly and right off the bat. But the second you refund something or they owe you money, all of a sudden it's like a 15-day hold and you can have your money in a store credit and this, that, and the other thing. So the court's like, we're going to put this on pause. Thank you so much. Much like Dorinda, you're put on pause, and we're going to revisit attorney's fees after the Court of Appeals says what I've done wrong. All right. So I guess we stay tuned. But that being said, this is going to be a while, maybe a couple months. So don't expect an episode next week about this. Don't do it. Maybe in a couple months. I'm going to say this is the last we're going to hear from Lizzo. This is the last we will hear from Melissa Jefferson, at least for this season, because who am I to rush the Court of Appeals? I am nobody in this world. So that's that on that. And now let's discuss criminal behavior. So for all of our new listeners, what is criminal behavior? Oh my God. It's like those things that happen in everyday life that you and all of us believe is just like a fucking arrestable offense. How dare you? So for example, my criminal behavior this week is whenever I connect my AirPods to my phone and it's like all of a sudden it's the loudest possible volume it could have ever been as soon as I put my AirPods in. And then I'm deaf, I've blacked out, and I can't hear and I have a headache, and it's triggered a migraine. And I think that's fucked up. What the fuck? And I'm also confused because it's like we all got that, Surgeon General's warning label about how listening to music too loud will impact your hearing and damage your eardrums. Yeah, I know, which is why I don't listen on the highest setting. So riddle me this, Apple. Why do you attach when I put on my headphones? Why does it automatically go to the highest setting? Steve, Mr. Jobs, Mr. No Jobs, you're fucking fired. We're done. I do love my AirPods, but at what cost? So that's my criminal behavior. I am always curious. What is your criminal behavior? Another one I have is my car makes beeping noises if you cross over the line to like, oops, I drifted into the other lane. That's criminal. How dare you? I am free to move about the area, and I should not need to prove to my car that my blinker works in order to do so. But anyway, I don't need to go into multiple details about my criminal behavior. That's my criminal behavior. This was so fun. I guess we'll find out in a few months whatever happens to Lizzo. And in the meantime, I guess let's just like keep some boots on the ground, some ears to the pavement or whatever the like idiom is. And let's stay in tune with what's necessary, which is we got to figure out what's going on Vanderpump Rules. Because I also found out that they're like not filming anymore. I don't know. It's a lot. So, cheers. Thank you so much for listening. And we will catch you next time on Allegedly Bravo. Bye.